We need to talk about the Royal Rumble. Will The Rock be there? Will MJF be there? AJ Lee, Kazuchika Okada, Sasha Banks. The Royal Rumble is just around the corner. These are the last minute predictions from the Tom Colohue channel. I want to start by going through the big list of returns and surprises and listing whether or not I expect them to be there or whether or not I don't. I'm going to start with Brock Lesnar. Even though Sports Illustrated is reporting that Gunther versus Seth Rollins is now the plan for Wrestlemania, I'm still waiting for anyone to tell me who actually reported it at Sports Illustrated. I don't believe that's the plan, so for me, Brock Lesnar does return at the Royal Rumble. He is set on a collision path with Gunther at Wrestlemania. The fact that we're getting these reports only a couple of days before the Royal Rumble screams just throwing extra fuel onto the fire for me. I'm still consistent. Brock versus Gunther, and personally I think Gunther's losing at WrestleMania, so Brock Lesnar appears in the Royal Rumble to kick that storyline into gear. Next up, Sasha Banks. I do not expect Sasha Banks to be in the Royal Rumble. There are plenty of people really excited about the possibility, and I'd be as excited as anyone if it happened. But I'm confident Sasha Banks, now Mercedes money, is shedding the skin that was the Sasha Banks character, taking off that mask, becoming Mercedes, more true to herself, and going to AEW to ply her trade. I'd imagine, hopefully, that will be a pretty significant boost to AEW's ticket sales. We've not heard too much about Trish Stratus for a little while. I do expect her to return at this year's Royal Rumble. She is available to my knowledge, and she seems pretty happy overall with her amount of work and the quality of work that she put together in her brief reign against Becky Lynch. I say brief, it was actually more than half of 2023, so maybe I should withdraw that and just sort of enjoy the fact that Trish Stratus not only delivered, but could well deliver again soon. There are rumours that X-Pac, formerly known as Sean Waltman, could be making an appearance in the Royal Rumble. These originally came from Peter Insider. I've reached out to everyone that I can, and as far as I believe, X-Pac will indeed be making that appearance. There is a larger reason for this. It does not mean Sean Waltman is coming back to the WWE long term, but there is a larger reason that may have something to do with the Hall of Fame. One of the big ones, the jewel in the crown for New Japan, Kazuchika Okada has confirmed that he intends to leave New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is a movement for the ages, something I never expected to see, but Okada is said to be looking for a new contract that does mean more money in his pocket. New Japan simply cannot provide that level of income, so it's certainly something of huge interest to him. As regards the Royal Rumble, I do not expect him to make an appearance simply because he will still be under New Japan contract until the end of January, so Royal Rumble actually falls just inside that non-compete area when he's actively working for a different promotion. That's one of the only reasons I don't expect to see him, is all I'll say on that one. The Rock's name has been coming up again and again. If you're a regular on Spoiler Warning, you'll know full well The Rock has not been booked for any match with the WWE. It seems like he's just trying to spike interest in a company that he's now on the board of directors for, so certainly it makes him a lot of money to talk about wrestling. While he continues to tease a match with Roman Reigns, and I do think, especially in his new position, it's closer now than it ever has been before, the Royal Rumble definitely wouldn't be the moment even if that were the case. He would essentially be dropping in to ruin the night for Cody, for CM Punk, for Gunther, for everyone involved, especially when you have history with CM Punk doing the exact same thing at a Royal Rumble pay-per-view. If he is going to return to the WWE, I just don't think that now would be the time. The Rock, for me, will not be in the Royal Rumble. And yes, this is knowing full well that up until this Sports Illustrated report, The Rock was the third favourite on the betting odds. AJ Lee on social media has been making clear her fitness regime, and that does seem to suggest that she may be appearing in the Royal Rumble. While that's not conclusive in any way, now is definitely the time to strike while that iron is hot. The issues between Triple H and CM Punk have been smoothed out, and issues between Stephanie McMahon and AJ Lee are simply no longer a factor. The women's division in WWE is nothing close to how it was when AJ Lee left, and an appearance in the Royal Rumble would really cement that, not just for AJ Lee, but also for the women actually wrestling there. I do have AJ Lee making an appearance, and honestly, I think she can go quite far. Not necessarily the distance, but I do feel like this is one of the only times she's been able to return. If she'd returned before CM Punk did, that crowd would have just chanted her husband's name and completely forgotten about the actual person who's just come down to the ring. Honestly, now's the time to make at least a small appearance and work out if maybe a return might be on the cards for her. Finally, when it comes to returns and surprises, a lot of people, particularly AEW viewers, are speculating that MJF may be making an appearance in the Royal Rumble. I can confirm that his contract has not expired. He is currently on sabbatical, or at least holiday, from the company and will be returning once a new deal is struck and in place. When it comes to MJF, WWE are highly interested, but I don't see a world in which he appears in the Royal Rumble. I also think, being that it's MJF, he probably doesn't want to appear because he's on holiday, and that's all he's really focused on right now. I just love the idea of him at some point appearing on the big screen saying, "I've signed with the WWE, but I don't want to be in the Royal Rumble, just give me a title shot, will you?" Let's move on from surprises and debuts and talk about predictions for the Royal Rumble event. Only 4 matches have been announced at this time. Seth Rollins, to be clear, despite his injury, was never expected to compete at the Royal Rumble. He will be there mostly to stare down whomever wins. I'm also going to predict the match order as we do this. I think it's fairly self-explanatory. Roman Reigns likely to open the show. He always either opens or closes the show, and he's not right now the general focus that he will be when it gets to WrestleMania. Roman Reigns will be defending against Randy Orton, AJ Styles and LA Knight in a 4 corners match, and that is a hell of a lot of 2-letter first names. While Edge and La were added very late in the event, this was always supposed to be about Randy Orton and Roman Reigns, and it allows Randy Orton to work a longer match without necessarily putting too much pressure on his back after his fairly recent return. Roman Reigns for me escapes with this one, primarily because of Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, though I do feel at the end of this one we'll actually be teasing more tension with Solo Sikoa than we will with Randy Orton. In fact, I think in many ways, if The Rock isn't coming, we could still have a head of the table, tribal chiefdom style match. Solo Sikoa is right there, and if it's not going to be Cody, it really should be him and not The Rock. The Women's Royal Rumble is up next, a match that will likely take basically a full hour, and so it should. With all of those surprises and debuts, as well as some appearances from NXT, the women's division has never been bigger and never been stronger than it is right now, and this could be a Women's Royal Rumble for the ages. Damage Control are looking to control the environment, looking to control the match. I really do hope to see Dakota Kai return in this match, primarily because she's taking over Damage Control, whether Bayley likes it or not. However, I do think this is the night for Bayley to pick up the win. Becky Lynch is in a similar trajectory to Cody Rhodes at this point, and with Elimination Chamber taking place in Australia, her build towards the match with Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania seems more fitting for that event. With this in mind, the only real logical challenger for Io Sky is Bayley. The storyline's already there, it's actively building. Outside of that, maybe Bianca Belair, but that's one we've seen before, and I just don't think now's the time, considering the plan was Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair, with Bianca going more heel in the direction of the Bobby Lashley and Street Profits faction. The cancellation of the heel turn for that faction has also cancelled the planned heel turn for Bianca Belair, and a large part of the reason they've cancelled that heel turn is that Charlotte is now injured, so Bianca Belair can work a very different schedule. I have Bayley winning and going to WrestleMania to take on Io Sky. As regards the status of her and Damage Control, let's get to that after the next match. We come to the United States Championship match, in many ways the big celebrity moment of the Royal Rumble, unless Bad Bunny makes an appearance in the Royal Rumble, which is not impossible, after all Damian Priest is going to be there. Kevin Owens challenges Logan Paul after winning a championship tournament to get the opportunity at the United States Championship. While I do believe this will be a great match and these two will have a natural chemistry with each other, I don't see Kevin Owens picking up the win. Logan Paul seems set for a United States Championship date with LA Knight at WrestleMania, and I do think now's the moment where we see Jake Paul enter the fray. We saw KSI at last year's WrestleMania when Logan Paul was working with Seth Rollins. This seems the ideal time to expand that group and maybe get Logan Paul a crew of his own so that Kevin Owens is in need of a little assistance in order to get this one over the line. Of course, at Elimination Chamber, if they do have a rematch, I don't see him getting it over the line either. Logan Paul retains the United States Championship due to the screwiest of finishes. In fact, to be honest, outside of the Royal Rumbles, which are naturally screwy finish environments anyway, I don't see any clean finishes here. That leaves us with the big one, the main event, the biggest match that the WWE do on the road to WrestleMania that will determine the first night main event. I have CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble. I think Cody Rhodes will go far but be eliminated late. I also am quite excited by the idea of a Final Four even though it would likely be all Raw competitors of Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk. That's just an exciting final four for me, when legitimately any one of them could win it and have a good story going into WrestleMania. Personally, I have CM Punk here, with Cody Rhodes finding a different route. I don't see Roman versus The Rock at WrestleMania. I think the actual main event of WrestleMania will not feature either of the Royal Rumble winners. Roman Reigns will take on Cody Rhodes in night 2, but for night 1, CM Punk will take on Seth Rollins. Also, just to be clear on this one, I don't think either of them are leaving with that World Heavyweight Championship. Leave your predictions in the comments below and check out the video on screen now where I book the entirety of the Men's Royal Rumble start to finish. Enjoy!